Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Monday Takeaway. This time being broadcasted on a Wednesday. It's sort of like our these silly Thursday night football branding on a Saturday, but we're going to continue on with it anyway. My name's Chris Novak, along with Robert O'Neill, your wonderful leaders of Big East Coast Bias, SB Nation's Big East basketball blog. Today is going to be a fun show, mostly because there's certainly a lot to talk about since the last time we all got on the air here. So
Yeah, I'm actually really glad we ended up not being able to do it yesterday because yesterday actually gave us a pretty big talking point.
yeah, yesterday was quite the day in the Big East Conference, or quite the night, I should say. A lot of great action and excitement down, or I should say, up in Providence, as well as over in Cincinnati. Two results that were one that wasn't so surprising, one was much needed, and one that was quite surprising at that. So,
And much needed.
yeah, both were much needed results for the teams that won. One team's loss was a little more tougher to take than the other. You could probably easily figure that one out. But all right, let's just let's dive right into it tonight. We've got two games on the docket. First up, they'll be going on concurrently. Villanova heads to New Jersey to take on the Seton Hall Pirates in Newark. That game will be broadcast on CBS Sports Network this evening at 8 o'clock Eastern. And then over on Fox Sports 1 at 9 o'clock Eastern, DePaul will head up I-94 to take on Marquette in Milwaukee. A desperate DePaul team seeking their first win. Doesn't get much easier for them heading to the BMO Harris Bradley Center to take on Henry Ellenson, Luke Fisher, and the Marquette Golden Eagles, who are also seeking a victory after losing to Xavier this past weekend at home, despite a pretty good battle between those two teams.
Yeah, that was a weird game, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But yeah, I think Marquette definitely does need a win. They're 2-4 in conference play right now. You get your win against DePaul and St. John's, and then you're 4-4 going into you got the little conference break against Stetson, and then you're going to beat Stetson, and then maybe that gives you some momentum to pick up a couple more wins down the stretch.
Yeah, as you probably just noted, they actually have I guess it's no real disrespect to the teams that they're facing this week, but they have a fairly easy week with playing DePaul and then going to New York to take on St. John's over at Madison Square Garden before facing Stetson next Wednesday. You could be staring at a nice little 3-game win streak for Marquette heading into a 15-6 record in their anticipated matchup against Butler on Saturday the 30th. So
Yeah, so, their schedule's a little more backloaded, so they're going to need to pick up some wins down the stretch.
yes.
But, Ellenson hasn't had that game where he's just been like, wow, he's, good enough to play in the NBA next year. Which I'm not saying he's not good enough to be playing in the NBA this year, but he's not had that game where, the numbers just pop off at you.
Yeah, but he's been very consistent, and a lot of his play has been, oh wow, okay, so this guy is a legit NBA prospect. He's been nearly averaging a double-double this season, coming off of a 20-point performance against Xavier. Was relatively efficient in that game. Shot 7 for 13, 6 for 10 on 2-point attempts. So yeah, he hasn't had one of those eye-popping stats games, but it's kind of tough to do that all the time. So
yeah,
not everyone's going to pull that off. I think he's been very much worthy of all the hype, especially even if you don't just look at the numbers, you look at how he plays and whatnot. So
yeah, actually, if you look at just Marquette's offense so far through conference play, they've struggled a little bit.
Yeah, through adjusted offensive efficiency metric via KenPom, they have the 9th best or 2nd worst offense in the conference through their first 6 games in conference play, only scoring 92.3 points per 100 possessions adjusted for opponent, of course. So it's not just straight 100 point points per 100 possessions, obviously. But their tempo has been pretty high. They've had the most possessions per game in the conference thus far through their first 6 games, which I guess it's kind of just telling you that they're just not converted here.
Yes. Yeah. We good? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. They're still a young team. That's the thing too.
Yeah.
They're just kind of learning on the fly still. Everyone thinks because they got this top 10 NBA pick next year, automatically it's going to carry. And we haven't seen that this year. We haven't seen that at LSU. We haven't seen that. It's the first year in a while where one good player hasn't been enough to carry a team.
I don't know if that's ever really been the case, though, to be honest.
I mean, we've seen it before.
I mean, people made a big deal about Kemba Walker doing it for UConn back in 2011, but that team also had the likes of Alex Oriaki, had Ryan Boatwright. I think they had Boatwright. They might not have had Boatwright. I'm not totally sure. Don't hold me to that. I know they had Napier. That much I know. Let me go check and make sure that I'm not just spouting off nonsense here.
I mean, Victor Oladipo kind of did it at Indiana. Well, no, Zeller was on that team too.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So he did not have Boatwright there. I figured as much. But they had Napier as a freshman. They had Oriaki. They had Jeremy Lamb, Roscoe Smith. So that UConn team was pretty heavy. I know. Obviously, Walker had a good Big East. I shouldn't say good. A legendary Big East tournament. Quite a good run in the NCAA tournament as well. But yeah, I mean, you're never really gonna win if you're just a one-man show. I don't necessarily know if Marquette's been a one-man show though this year. Luke Fisher has been very good for them as well. The other big man that they have. But yeah, like you mentioned, they're a young team. It's gonna happen. 2016 will certainly be a little better for them, probably after a year's worth of development for that squad.
Yep.
They'll be likely losing Ellenson, but if he were to somehow come back, I would say that this team would be a consistent threat in the Big East. Interestingly enough, Marquette is projected to lose out this season after their matchup with Stetson. KenPom is not giving them much respect at all, which I guess I can agree with, but I can sense that they're probably going to steal some games there. I mean, they have a coin flip game against DePaul, and
I don't think they're going to lose that.
No, I don't think so either. I think they may finish like 8-10, but they're not going to have a 6. I don't think they're going to have a 6-12 record in conference. Or anything like that.
10 would put them at 19-12 here going into the Big East tournament. So. You got 19-12. You pick up a couple Big East tournament wins.
You certainly have an interesting case.
I mean, their problem is that their best non-conference win right now is probably Wisconsin still, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Wisconsin, LSU, Arizona State. I mean, they're very middling. If they picked up a win against Iowa, that certainly would look a lot better. But instead, they got thrashed. But that loss doesn't look so bad because Iowa is one of the best teams in the country right now.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we should go all the way back to last week since we last met here.
Yeah, I mean, we could, or we could jump to Villanova Seton Hall since we spent a good deal talking about Marquette.
Yeah. I guess we should touch on that real quick, and then we'll go over the games from last.
Yeah. All right. So Seton Hall looks to beat Villanova back-to-back years in New Jersey. Last time these two teams played, Villanova won at the Pavilion. Shock, surprise, surprise. 72-63. Nova coming off of a impressive win against Georgetown. Was kind of a dogfight for a while.
Yep.
Josh Hart pulled them out of the fire as usual.
Georgetown made it close at the end.
Yeah, they definitely did. The Hoyas, who coming off a win against Xavier, which is probably one of the best wins of the season for any team in the Big East Conference and any team in the country. Yeah. You win on the road against a top 5 team, that'll give you good marks. Nova is they're exactly who we thought they'd be. Everyone said, "Oh, well, this is the year that they're actually going to be tested in the conference." Well, so far not so much.
Yeah, I mean, you go back and you look. They lost to one of the best teams in the country in Hawaii, in Oklahoma, and then they went on the road and lost to Virginia. Neither of those are bad losses.
No, it would have been nice for them to win, but neither of them are bad losses. And they also held Buddy Hield to under 20 points scoring. Not a lot of teams can say that they did that.
Yeah.
I'm not going for moral victories, but
you're going to play teams that caliber in the tournament. But if Villanova does what we think they're going to do, they're going to be in Brooklyn and Philadelphia for the tournament. So
they'll certainly have their fair share of advantages.
Because they can play in Philadelphia.
No.
They can, because they're not hosting. So,
well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can.
LaSalle
is hosting.
They're favored in the rest of their games. They've won, 21 straight Big East games?
Yeah, 21. So they'll be seeking their Deuce Staley tonight after getting their Eric Allen.
Yeah.
Coming in with Philadelphia. So.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. This would be a huge win for Seton Hall. Obviously.
Yeah.
We said Seton Hall needs to go 2-1 in the Providence Villanova Xavier stretch. Well, I mean, they started 1-0, so it's starting to look a little more possible.
Yeah. I mean, they would take quite an effort to beat Villanova tonight. But I'm certainly not ruling it out, especially with how impressively they played against Dunn, Bentil, and the Friars back on Saturday in Friartown. So, I mean,
yes.
Anything's possible.
When Providence fans invaded our mentions and actually said that they weren't very good. Which, that's not, the Providence is good. They're still good. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it'll take an incredible effort to pick up the win, but, they did it. And all these guys were there last year except for Derek Gordon.
Yeah.
So that game last year, who was it that had a big game? Someone had a real big game.
It's probably Sterling Gibbs.
No, I don't. Yeah, he had 20, and then Carrington had 17. That was
it was Sterling Gibbs.
Whitehead hurt. He was hurt, or
Whitehead was hurt. He wasn't. Yeah. He didn't play. He was hurt at the time.
Well, I mean, you look at it as, Sterling Gibbs had 20 points. Well, maybe Isaiah Whitehead can get 20 points tonight.
Yeah.
That was also the game where Daniel Trefu was unstoppable.
19 points and 24 rebounds. My God.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and he probably will be again. I mean.
Yeah, he's been one of the best players in the country, I think, defensively at least.
But also, Angel Delgado was in foul trouble last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it.
I am as well.
I get to watch it. It's not on Fox Sports 1, so.
Nope.
Game on.
Yep.
And, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen.
Neither me. So we'll see how I'll pick Villanova to win that game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Seton Hall knocked them off because nothing surprises me anymore in college basketball.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
No, especially the last week or so.
Yeah, seriously.
Like 15 of the top 25 have lost.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Yeah. So anyway,
drop backwards here.
Yeah, I mean, Xavier took care of business against DePaul. Providence and Creighton played a really weird game.
That was a very bizarre game.
That was really good. It was a really bad game, and then the end happened, and everyone kind of forgot it was a really bad game because, Chris Dunn hit a buzzer beater.
That naturally looked like it was going to rim out because, of course, that happened in that game.
Yeah. But yeah, so since then, let's see what happened last Wednesday. I mean, I don't know if we need to go game by game here. I feel like everyone knows what happened.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we can just...
Anything big happen that we talked about Villanova and Georgetown. We talked about Marquette and Xavier. we pretty much talked about all of this. Yeah, so I think we're okay in
Yep.
that department. Draymond Blewett and Edmund Sumner were your Big East players of the week.
And Blewett was the Big East Coast Bias Player of the Week. 7 players received votes, for the most abundant in the award's short history. Blewett's certainly deserving of that award. Sumner, coming back from injury, looked impressive with a 15-point performance against Marquette.
Yeah, I think for me, it was between Blewett and Isaiah Jordan.
Yeah, that's fair. Zierden certainly played well, as did Creighton last Sunday against DePaul. That game was very interesting in that DePaul started off with an 11-0 lead and proceeded to, well, you know the rest.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just preview this week real quick.
Well, we can talk about what happened last night since we didn't.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, we're a little out of sorts today, but Wednesday. Butler and Providence, really, really fun game. Good game, enjoyable game.
Yes, that was as entertaining of a game as I've seen in a little while. Though muddied with foul trouble as Rob again fixed his camera. Yeah, the ending was very entertaining. Chris Dunn finished it off for the Friars, helping them get a much needed win after taking a few losses. The Friars won over Butler by the score of
71-68.
71-68. Friars snapping a 2-game home losing streak with their win over Butler last night to move to 16-3 and 4-2 in the conference. Butler dropping to 2-4 in Big East play through their first 6 games, though they've certainly had the toughest road so far, having already played Providence twice, Xavier and Villanova. The Xavier game coming on the road over at Cintas Center in Cincinnati, and their schedule lightens up a little bit going forward. So I would say my question is Butler in danger as much as I would say they probably need to start winning games and winning them really soon.
I mean, I agree. Their non-conference wins don't look as good as they used to. Purdue lost to Illinois. Cincinnati's been all over the place. So they're going to need to pick up some conference wins, and I think they're gonna. I mean, it's tough to go into Hinkle and win. I think a big thing for them would be if they could go to Omaha and pick up a win on Saturday.
Yeah, that would if they knock off Creighton, who's gotten off to a hot start in Big East play. They're already 4-2. It took Creighton last year, of course, until February 24th to get their 4th conference win. They're already there at this point. They've been a very, very good squad. But if Butler can get a big win on the road in Omaha in a very tough environment to play in, which they've certainly – I don't know necessarily if they've played badly in their most recent losses in Big East play. They certainly gave Villanova a run for their money at home a couple weeks ago.
No,
they played well with Providence and very competitively down the stretch. It's just a few things haven't gone their way.
No, I think the only game they played poorly was against Xavier.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Actually, Xavier, I don't think they played very well against DePaul either, but they won.
Yeah, so, and, sometimes that'll happen. Kellen Dunham's back from his shooting slump. He's been on a tear. Keelan Martin came up large for the Bulldogs last night with a performance of
15 and 10 or so.
15 and 11,
Yeah.
2 assists as well. Got into a little bit of foul trouble, but so basically everybody in that game. 40 combined fouls in that game. That was tough to watch. So yeah, but the schedule plays out very nicely for Butler in that after the Creighton game, let's say we'll count that as just a wash right now. They play DePaul, they go to Marquette, they host Georgetown, who suddenly looks very, very dangerous. Then they go to St. John's and they go to Seton Hall before facing Xavier, Creighton, and Villanova back, and then a road game at Georgetown. So I think that realistically, you could be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4-2, 5-1 would be their best case scenario. 3-3 would be ideal.
Yeah.
Anything under that, you're looking at 4-8 in the Big East, which not great.
No, that wouldn't be good.
No, so they kind of need a reversal of fortune. So if they go 4-2 here and get to 6-6 before that Xavier Creighton Villanova stretch, or with Georgetown as well, they're probably in a little bit of a better position. So aiming to get to 500 in the conference right now is definitely the big task ahead of them.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they know what they got to do. They got a lot of experience on that team. Pretty much, I think a bit of an issue has been that Tyler Lewis kind of not been very good the past few games, and Jordan Gathers, who is a very good player, just I don't necessarily know if he has what it takes to be running the point for 20, 25 minutes a night. Because, Tyler Lewis is obviously better, so he needs to be more consistent.
Yeah, Lewis is, like you said, he's been a little inconsistent. His assist rate is still quite high, but since Big East play started, his point totals have been 1, 10, 4, 2, 2, and 0.
Yeah.
And his assist totals have been 1, 4, 7, 1, 1, 1. So that to me is one of the big reasons why this team is struggling right now, because Lewis hasn't played quite like the point guard he was through non-conference play when he was, he had assist numbers I see 10, 5, 5, 8, 7, 4, 4, 3. When he was dishing it out, Butler was playing very well. Now that he hasn't, they aren't playing very well. And you need a consistent ball handler, because as good as Roosevelt Jones is as a do-it-all guy, it's not really your traditional point guard or whatever like Lewis was said to be. And he's taken a bit of a step back, and as a result...
And he's gone up against Chris Dunn twice.
Yeah, so the best on-ball defender in the country. So he'll just have to play well in his matchups going forward. But problem is, of course, in the next two matchups, he's going up against some good point guards in Mo Watson Jr. and Billy Garrett.
Yeah. So it doesn't get any easier for him. But
no, it doesn't. But he definitely needs to find his stroke again, and he needs to be a good assist man for them, because it's what's helped Butler, and his down performances have hurt Butler as well.
Also, I've noticed this, and a couple other people brought it up yesterday on the Twitter. Chris Holtmann is a big fan of leaving games with timeouts, and that's something that I've really never been a fan of in college basketball. Especially if you're losing these close games. So that I don't get that.
Yeah, in their wins so far against DePaul and most important, moreover, St. John's, they haven't necessarily needed them, but yeah, it's a little interesting to leave timeouts on the board. You don't necessarily have to. They don't carry over to the next game. These aren't singular rollover minutes or whatever, so they don't carry over to the next month or the next game. I'm really glad I referenced singular rollover minutes on this telecast today. Singular Wireless, great old phone provider. Used to have a Razor that was for Singular. Anyways, yeah. Holtmann, I guess you could say he needs to, and this obviously isn't an issue when it comes to the final 2 minutes, because players are only allowed to take timeouts, not coaches. I guess what the point of that is, maybe just to settle his guys down a little bit and just make sure that they're all very wired and whatnot. So.
Well, and then I said, okay, coaches can't call timeouts, but you have two seniors in Jones and Dunham on the floor. Shouldn't they know the situation and the timeout situation? And I asking for it. So,
well, someone did bring up a good point. It is the first year of that happening, so they don't necessarily know the situation. They don't know necessarily, how to control things in that environment. So it's very new to everybody. So, but
It's not a rule that I love.
I don't necessarily mind it because coaches do sometimes there are coaches out there that take a little too much control.
So why not take off a timeout then? You know,
I
Drop the timeout.
think they could use more time. I don't have a problem with how many timeouts that they have. I think also that this is for another discussion for another day. I think that they could move up to 6 fouls instead of 5 for the foul out limit.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I mean, especially if they're going to keep calling it like they have been this year.
exactly. But again, that's another discussion for another day. Yeah. But as we said, that is a little bit of a problem. And one of the worries I guess I've had for about this Butler team whole season really has been their defense. It's been a little skittish. Hasn't really improved much in conference play. They're allowing 106.9 points per 100 possessions adjusted for opponent for KenPom. It's not great. Probably one of the other reasons is that they've been struggling so far, even though they've been very good on the perimeter.
Yeah.
They're limiting teams converting on just a third of their 3-point shots. They've been good at forcing turnovers, but they just have not been good on capitalizing on those mistakes.
They also can't rebound.
Well, no, they've had trouble rebounding. But you look at their turnover rates. They're second in the conference right now, second in conference play right now in turnover percentage on offense. So they're keeping good care of the ball, and they're forcing turnovers. So you would suspect that would give them leeway to success on the scoreboard. Hasn't necessarily gone their way.
No.
Because they haven't necessarily been efficient, and they haven't been able to convert on much of anything. They've been pretty average for the most part. So what they need to do is just take – and I saw this last night on a couple of their possessions. They had open looks. The shots just were not falling. So you have to hope that, regression to the mean happens, and then they start converting on those opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I said, they're playing well in terms of the turnover game, and that usually will help teams. But it has not helped them because they have not been able to capitalize on their opponent's mistakes or capitalize on their lack of mistakes.
Yeah. And then, on the other side last night, Providence, like you said, picked up a much-needed win. I really do wish there was some sort of, award that we could give Ben Bentil at the end of the year, because he's probably not going to be Big East Player of the Year.
Breakout player of the year? I mean,
we got to make something up because he's just – I think we said at the beginning of the year, it's going to be Dunn and Bentil, which it has been, but most nights it's been Bentil and Dunn. I mean, when Chris Dunn was out with his whatever it was at the end of the flu for 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, whatever it was, his virus that he had.
Yeah. Ben Bentil really carried the team, and if you look at the Big East offensive leader, Ben Bentil is your scoring leader, and he's in the top 5 of rebounds, and Henry Ellenson would be the only other guy to be in the top 5 of both. So again, really, I just think we need to give Ben Bentil some sort of honor.
I definitely think Breakout Player of the Year is definitely something we could look into, at least from our perspective. We can do some votes. I suspect if we do that, though, and this is just in my intuitions, it's probably going to end up being Bentil in a runaway.
Yeah.
Because no one else has really come close in terms of breakout players. I mean, Keelan Martin is also up there. He's probably going to be a strong 6th Man of the Year candidate with James Farr over at Xavier. But back to Providence, I'm looking at their score at their Big East results so far. Big reason why they keep winning is defense. Their points allowed in Big East Conference games so far: 73, 65, 65, 48, 80, 81, and 68.
Yeah.
So they've only allowed more than 75 points once, and that was their only loss. I should say, sorry. That was one of their 2 losses. Their other loss was, of course, to Marquette, but they only allowed 65 points to the Golden Eagles. So that's one of the biggest reasons why they keep winning. And additionally, they've been incredible in terms of perimeter defense, as they've only allowed 22.2% of 3-point attempts so far through conference play to be converted. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously having Chris Dunn helps a lot. But the rest of the team's really just picking up from where he leaves off every time. It looks like.
Yeah, and you know what they say, defense wins championships. Well, the Friars' defense has been very good in most, if not all, areas except for 2-point defense, which has been pretty average. But if you're average, and you're above average in almost every other category, you're going to win games. And that's a big reason why this team keeps winning. And their defensive improvement over the last few years, while Ed Cooley's been there, has been something to marvel at. So,
yeah, I mean, it's been great, and they've actually, I don't miss Providence games. I watch them whenever I can, not only because Chris Dunn, but it's really fun to watch them play.
Yeah, they have a slew of guys, and as we've noticed the past few times that they've taken the floor, sometimes, it is the Ben Bentel and Chris Dunn show, but other players have stepped up. We saw it last night with Compton, California's Kyron Cartwright, who scored 13 points and was shooting well from the perimeter. He was 3 for 4 on 3-point shots. And some nights it'll end up being Rodney Bullock. Last night he scored 16 and was 6 of 7 from the free throw line. He added 8 rebounds. Back in Providence's win over Creighton, that game was actually a wash. We discussed that. But back in Providence's victory against St. John's, Cartwright was there again. So was Bullock. And going all the way back, Bullock also performed well against Butler back on New Year's Eve, as well as Drew Edwards, who's been – maybe he hasn't, produced in points, but he's been active on the floor when he's out there. The Perry Hall, Maryland freshman has been, he's been quite good. He had an offensive rating of 158 against Creighton, even though he only scored 6 points but he played in 20 minutes, so he did his job. That game obviously was quite ugly. So Friars, I know my colleague here thinks quite highly of them, that they could be Elite Eight good. We had the step back they took against Seton Hall, but things play out nicely for them. And they'll certainly be tested now, as their next 3 games are on the road against Villanova this Saturday, which will be a dandy. That's going to be at the Wells Fargo Center. Then they host Xavier next Tuesday, and then they'll be traveling to the Verizon Center to take on Georgetown. And then they play Villanova on Saturday, February 6th. A lot of people think that might end up being Villanova's first conference loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. And that game against Villanova on Saturdays on Big Fox, I believe.
Yeah, it's a Big Fox game, so there's going to be a whole lot of hype and attention on that one.
Yeah. So, and just getting back to your point about other people contributing, all of non-conference, their third option or whatever is Ryan Fazekias.
Yeah.
Who still appears to be maybe recovering from mono. It takes a while. But it's more than just Dunn and Bentel. Those are the 2 main guys, but they got a lot of pieces.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's taking a little bit for Fazekas to get in a rhythm, but I've got a feeling once he gets back in that rhythm, he's going to be very dangerous, because he was very, very good for them, especially from the perimeter. So once he starts hitting his 3-point shots again, Friars are even more dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so elsewhere last night,
something surprising happened. Georgetown went into Cincinnati, and they didn't just beat Xavier; they beat Xavier down.
I think they led wire to wire.
I know that I don't know if they did actually. I think they traded
6-5.
Yeah, Xavier was up 27-20.
Oh yeah,
at 6:16 in the first half.
Yeah.
And at that point, Georgetown's win probability was just at 6.2%, because you figure, okay, you're down 7 to Xavier with 6 minutes to go in the first half. They might just start, doing what they do. but they didn't.
Yeah, no, and Trey Campbell and DSR combined for 41 points. Xavier did what they do against big guys. They shut down Hayes and Cameron and Copeland, and they
could, and it was very interesting because Xavier's usually quite good at defending the perimeter, and Georgetown just let it rip. I mean, Trey Campbell was incredible last night.
Yeah, I haven't seen, but I'm assuming 21 is a career high.
Yes. 21 is a career high. His previous career high, as I'm looking at this, was 14 points against Marquette last January. So he certainly usurped that total in a big way. The DC native and sophomore guard for Georgetown, looking like the kind of point guard that they need.
Yeah, and also if his previous career high was 14, then 5 made threes would be a career high as well. Just
let's see. It probably is.
5 times 3 is 15.
Yeah, his previous career high in 3-pointers was 3 against Creighton on January 3rd, 2015. So
you see Trey Campbell do things like that, and you're like, oh, DSR is going to be gone next year, but
yeah, and it's interesting actually because Campbell had he had a very poor effort against Villanova. I don't want to necessarily call him out. He's a young player. It'll happen. But he scored 0 points, only played 14 minutes. Didn't necessarily get into foul trouble either. He didn't have his shot. But
yeah,
he went gangbusters on Xavier last night. That was one of the better performances I've seen, not only from an individual player but from a team as well. Georgetown, so confusing.
Yeah,
continuously. Might have just gotten one of the best wins of any Big East team in conference play so far.
Yeah, I mean, you look at just teams across the country, I think actually both of the biggest wins of the year might have happened last night in Georgetown beating Xavier and Oklahoma State beating
Kansas.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Of course, Kansas lost to West Virginia last week. Was also.
Yeah, but West Virginia's good already. I mean,
that's true. That's true. West Virginia, press Virginia, as some call them, is one of the top teams in the country. I would hate to see a Big East team run into them because they are a very, very good team.
Georgetown hopped up 20 spots.
Yeah, they had a very efficient night. They scored 1.21 points per possession. I'm curious to see if that is the most that Xavier has allowed this season. I'll certainly look that up. I'm not going to bother doing that right now. But if I do, I'll tweet it out on the account. But 1.21 points per possession, 61.5% on 2-point attempts, which very odd for Xavier's interior defense to allow that much. And 40% from the 3-point line, which wasn't necessarily that much higher than Xavier's 35.7%. And I'm trying to find really a big factor in this game that really won them the game, and I'm not really finding it. So it just kind of looks like individual performances just kind of carried Georgetown to a victory.
Yeah,
and sometimes that's going to happen.
And the Big East also now with Georgetown jumping into the top 50, and KenPom has 7 teams in the top 50, which just going off of what I'm just a rough count here is the most of any conference in the country.
It might be.
I thought the Big 12 might have been there. Hold on, let's see. The Big 10, 4, 5, 6. Nope, they only have 6. So, yeah, I'm saying 7 has to be a record in terms of current.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it very well might. It very well might be. So. But that just speaks to how good this conference is and how efficient everybody is.
Actually, road teams are 17 and 13 this year.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's no home court advantage so far this year.
No, not really. Not really.
The home teams being 13 and 17 at home is actually second worst in the country.
Damn.
Yeah. So a lot going on. We know who the best team in the conference is, and we know who the two worst teams in the conference are.
Everything else is just.
Everything else is just guy shrugging.
Yep.
So this weekend, we talked about tonight. So this weekend,
let's go into this weekend. A pretty big weekend for a lot of teams in this conference.
Pretty big, yes. We got Georgetown and UConn. I imagine we're going to do something with some UConn folks. We certainly know enough of them that we can.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, because the UConn folks will be followed mostly. UConn blog and No Escalators as well. If you're a college basketball fan, you don't follow No Escalators, do it. Or he's hilarious, whatever it is. Funny as hell.
Georgetown, UConn, and Providence, Villanova being on at the same time is annoying.
So annoying. So annoying. But I mean, what do you expect?
Georgetown, UConn. Actually, I don't know. Are they going to put Raf on Big Fox, or is he doing the CBS game?
I'm not sure. I think that information is probably going to come out tomorrow. Let me just briefly check the 506, which reminds me I need to do the announcers post tonight, even though.
I mean, just if I had to get, I know Justin Kutcher is in Omaha.
Yeah, Justin Kutcher's in Omaha. And it's interesting because CBS has two games on Saturday, the other being Duke at NC State. That might get the more, prestigious announcers, so to speak.
Yeah.
Let me see if anything's been decided. I highly doubt it. But let's see. No, nothing yet is out there about that game. Certainly we'll provide the information when it gets there, which again I'm assuming that's probably going to come on Saturday. If I had to guess, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same crew as last week in the form of Harlan and Raftery, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they trotted out Carter Blackburn for that game as well.
Yeah,
I could see Harlan going down to Raleigh for Duke NC State because again, it's bigger brand in Duke. So
we can also, we watch enough. We can kind of assume what the announcers are going to be. Like, I'm pretty sure Joe Davis will be at Seton Xavier.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, because it usually is just really good guesswork at this point. So
Marquette St. John, since it's in New York, they might do the three-man crew with Rothstein or.
Is that on CBS Sports Network?
So they might send Pete Gill in there, because they got their studio crew out there already.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting who they trot out for that one. That could really be anybody.
I would imagine Justin Kutcher and Nick Baugh at the Creighton game.
I'm almost like 100% certain that
Kutcher's going to be there. So it.
Yeah, I know Rob Anderson, Creighton's SID, figured it out last night. Let me see.
And then Providence Villanova would be interesting. It all really depends where Rat goes. I mean, I imagine he's doing one of the CBS games.
I could see, and yeah, it is Kutcher and Baugh in Omaha. So as you might expect,
that one was pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of this, like we're saying, it's very easy guesswork, and it's good conversation topics as well.
Oh, we don't have Sunday games this week.
We don't have Sunday games this week. I actually don't mind not having Sunday games this week because usually it's just one, and it's just like, oh.
I mean, I feel like they probably could have thrown the noon game on. When does football start?
Starts at 3.
Yeah. So.
I mean, they could have, but it's just like.
No, I mean Sunday for me personally. I mean, you got the football, you got the Blackhawks Blues is on, and you got the Royal Rumble. So I'm just as fine not having a game Sunday.
Yeah, pretty much. Big game though happening in the Big Ten that day. Purdue at Iowa. That's gonna be fun.
Yes. Anyway, back to the actual games.
Anyways, yeah. So we're out here talking about commentary teams and whatnot, which fun conversation topic. But as for the games, they're all pretty big.
Georgetown UConn will be fun as usual. Again, wish it was in stores, but
You know, the XL Center in Hartford's no slouch, so it's not Gamble, but it'll do.
Hartford Civic Center.
Hartford Civic Center is a great venue.
Long live the whale.
Yes.
Providence, Villanova at the Pavilion. Always
Wells Fargo Center.
Is it really? It says the Pavilion here.
Nope, it's at the WFC. It's at the WFC.
I know they're there next week for. They're there next week when they play Seton Hall again, right? Because I know they play Seton Hall real soon. Hold on.
No, Villanova already played Seton Hall at the Pavilion.
Oh yeah. Okay. No, yeah, you're right. My bad.
Yep.
Okay.
They're playing them at Wells Fargo Center. So.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good game. Seton Hall Xavier. Xavier's gonna be looking for a win. Seton Hall could either win tonight, and that game could be just icing on the cake, or they could lose tonight, and that game would be, a little bit more. I don't see Xavier losing back-to-back games at Cintas Center.
Neither me, but stranger things have happened, of course.
Going out on a limb here, saying that has not happened under Chris Mack. Check it real quick, but
if it did happen, it would have happened. It would have probably happened in their first year in the conference. That's what I'm guessing.
Let's see.
I know that they were.
No, I mean they don't lose there. So.
Yeah, I was going to say if it did happen, it probably would have been that first year in the conference because they were kind of skittish that year, but it did not happen then.
No, so I don't.
They were inconsistent that year, but they never lost back-to-back games.
No. So, it's definitely a tall order for Seton Hall.
They lost 2 out of 3 in 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
They lost to VCU, beat Memphis, and then lost to Massachusetts. So that seems to be the only instance where I'm seeing anything close to back-to-back, though.
Yeah, Xavier hasn't lost back-to-back home conference games since I think just going back to the beginning of Ken Palm at this point, so that's 2001, 2002.
So it would be quite the feat if it happened this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. So it could happen, but
it could, but
and then you got Butler and Creighton. Both teams could use that game. I mean, I think Butler might need it more at this point.
I agree.
But it would really solidify Creighton as, actual contenders because, sure, they're 4-2 right now, but if you look at who their wins have been against, it's not the cream of the crop in the conference or anything. I mean, Georgetown and Seton Hall are both very nice wins, but win against Butler would really go a long way.
Exactly.
And then Marquette and St. John's. We talked about Marquette. That could be the middle of a nice little 3-game win streak for them.
Yep.
And that'd be good. And that is all we have to talk about between now and Monday in terms of games. I imagine we might be back on Monday next week finally.
Yeah. No real reason for us not to be, so we'll be there. So
let's see. What else is there to talk about?
I think that's about it. I don't know if there's not much else to talk about. We discussed what happened last week. We discussed what happened the last 2 nights. We have questions to answer?
I think we do from the other day here.
Alrighty.
Or we can talk about the Suicide Squad trailer.
Great thing. Hopefully DC knows what it's doing for the first time ever.
DC Villanova becoming number 1 if they win both games this week. Well, I didn't, but, I just, it kind of goes against everything we said if they were above Oklahoma.
It wouldn't. I don't think it would make much sense because Oklahoma beat them on a neutral floor.
But I think
if anything, they're going to be number 2.
I think especially since Kansas lost, now Villanova's looking at top 3 if they win both games this week.
They are in top 3 in the AP. So.
Are they? No, they're.
Yeah. No, they're number 3.
4.
Are they number 4? Are you sure?
I'm relatively sure. Yeah.
No, they're. Are they?
No, they're 4.
Oh, yeah, they're 4. Okay, so, yeah, they're probably going to be number 3. Maybe at max number 2 if North Carolina loses, which I'm not sure who North Carolina plays this weekend, but
yeah.
Oh, they play Wake Forest on Wednesday, and they play Virginia Tech on Sunday, and they're going to win.
Yeah.
So they'll at best they'll be number 3 or number 2, depending on how far the polls drop Oklahoma. I don't think they're going to drop them very far.
No.
But I don't see Villanova hopping Oklahoma quite yet.
No. Maybe
Oklahoma would have to, pitfall a little bit for that to happen. Just because fair's fair. Don't put a team that you lost to above a team that,
Team in the Big East, best build for a deep tournament run. I still think probably Xavier. It might be Villanova, but I still think Xavier.
I thought you said Providence.
No, the last couple games, I think
I
the
feel you.
best player and maybe the best, 1-2, and that's good. But it's going to be all about matchups.
Pretty much. I agree. I think it's Xavier as well, just because of how many guys that they have that can do damage. They win with defense. Defense usually helps you out very much. Same goes for Villanova. A lot of guys that can kill you in a variety of ways. Very good player in Josh Hart. But like you said, all depends on matchups. We'll see what happens, but I think it's definitely just the two top dogs in the conference, Villanova and Xavier. Providence, if anybody can, single-handedly carry a team, it's probably Chris Dunn. So they're a threat as well.
Yeah. What happened to Ben Mental and Sandy Cohen's outside shooting? Both have dropped to under 20% in conference play. Well, neither of those guys are really three-point shooters to begin with. But I think another thing is that, you're playing better competition.
I think it also just...
Bento was a 30% three-point shooter last year, and right now he's at 26.2. Since conference play started, he's below 26.2, but I think it was more regression to the mean compared to where he was earlier in the year.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, just law of averages. He shot very well, maybe a little bit uncharacteristically.
Cohen also had that one game against whatever garbage team they played that he hit like 6 threes, so that really things too.
Exactly.
It's kind of fun with numbers type thing. You hit 6 out of 10 threes in a game, your percentage is going to be up for a while.
Yep.
So, I'm not, it's not like they forgot how to shoot threes, and it's just not a game.
You go through stretches where you're not going to, make a lot of shots. It happens. These are kids, so.
Yeah. Let's see here. Do we have one more? I think we have one more. Why doesn't Providence run an offense? Well, when you have Chris Dunn, you don't really need to run a set offense.
No, not really. Though it is I guess it's kind of interesting that they don't really have something set. But that's just, I guess we'd have to ask Ed Cooley about that. But
I think their offense is, Chris Dunn going the triple threat, look to make a play.
Yep.
Or run pick and roll with Bento.
Yeah, which has its pluses and minuses, obviously, but
Of course. That should be about it here.
Yeah, I think that does just about do it here. So,
real quick, give some love here. 12 in a row.
Of course.
Firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
So that.
Yep, that'll about do it here. Thanks for your questions, everybody. As always, thanks for listening and tuning in. We'll be back hopefully next Monday, so that we can keep the namesake going here and we don't have to push it off. We'll keep you posted on anything out there that's going on in the world. Be sure to tune in tonight to both games, which should be exciting. And yeah, for Rob, I'm Chris. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon.
Yep.